4 and 5 red lights, and here we go. Foot to the floor. Base Baby gets a decent start.
Might have to look for Trenny S here. He's coming into the corner. He doesn't know what's there. He threads the needle, luckily.
Oh, yeah. Hawkshaw around the outside through that long section. Looks like he's going to force his way through that hairpin, and there's not really going to be a whole lot Joe can do to keep him back. Runs very wide, clouds the wall just slightly.
As we cross the finish line, it's going to be Bass Baby who wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. An absolute masterclass from him today.
And a very big hello everybody, welcome along to the 85th running of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix that originally saw the race run on a road circuit back in 1928. The circuit here at Albert Park has been revitalised. It's a brand new layout and a brand new opportunity for drivers to either get it right or get it wrong. Let's take a look at the layout. We will be battling around a 5.2 kilometre circuit with 14 turns, 3 DRS zones, some heavy braking areas, and a circuit that's difficult on tyres and difficult to overtake. Let's take you to your commentary team.
Yes, I believe I'm back here. Sorry, technical issues all around. It's been an awful start. Hope I'm coming through now. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, isn't it? We've got a brand new track layout. We've got a bunch of drivers eager to show their worth. And, oh, hi, Fluxy. Good to see you there in chat, mate. One of my biggest fans. And, yeah, we're looking forward to a very spicy race tonight, aren't we, Deku?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be incredibly spicy, especially with the way that the championship constructors, are actually shaping up with the top 3 teams, 3 points separating them all. So they're going to be looking to really push out some big points here this week.
Yeah, it's as close as it gets, and obviously Aston Martin leading there, top driver sitting in P4, so just pretty much teamwork and pure consistency, really. You know, keeping those guys right at the top of the constructors. You'd love to see it.
Oh yeah, well, I think the Aston Martins are doing pretty well in all of the divisions here in ARL. They're pretty consistent in where they're placing and with the points finishes. So it's not really a shock to see how well they're doing down here in the Novice division.
Yeah, and just for anyone who's been worried, I'm just keeping tabs on how many we've got in the lobby. We've got 18 people. We've seen recently, you know, with the latency, with the bugs, with the dramas and the crashes and the patches mid-race. It's you know, sometimes we've been hemorrhaging people a little bit on the grid, but this looks like it's going to be a full one. So everyone is keen for the home race. It's going to be big stuff. And I'm receiving some shade in chat, which I will not stand for. Fluxy, we'll talk about this later. Yeah, just a couple more minutes now.
Yeah, so a couple more minutes before we get into qualifying. And I think for the top 3 people currently, Base Baby, Joe, and Valhalla, these guys are going to be looking to fight it out for the top 3 positions, I reckon, this week, with all of them very close in the drivers' standings. But Valhalla just falling off a little bit last week.
Yeah.
But, you know, anything's to play for. We're only just getting halfway through the season now.
Yeah, I mean, Base Baby currently in P2, but last week's drive, he looked absolutely unassailable, didn't he? He took pole position, he led every lap of the race apart from a few when he came into pit. He defended multiple safety car restarts. He's absolutely on fire, and Josh is probably looking over his shoulder right now thinking 3 points isn't enough of a gap at the top of that table.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, we saw Joe's masterclass in Bahrain, and then Base Baby said, all right, I'm going to have to pull my finger out. And look what Base Baby did in Saudi Arabia. He absolutely demolished it that race.
He was absolutely on fire. And so Base Baby might be the subject of this poll we've just seen thrown up in chat. Thank you, Fluxy. Will poll time be below 118.5? Base Baby might be the man to beat that barrier if anyone does. 3 votes in chat, win some channel points, and spend them wisely. 20 seconds right now as we're counting down towards the lobby loading up, and while we do that, I might give a quick shout out for our Steam voucher giveaway. For the month of August only, new and returning subscribers to the ARL Twitch stream will be entered into the draw to win one of 3 $50 Steam vouchers. The winners will be drawn on the 1st of September Elite stream. That'll be on a Thursday night, so if you're interested in getting your hands on one of those 3 delicious $50 Steam vouchers, make sure to sub throughout the month of August, and you'll be supporting the stream, and you'll be in the draw for some big winnings. So looking at the loading screen now, we'll be with you in just a moment. And Deku, have you got maybe any unexpected picks for today? Any maybe midfield shenanigans? Any people you think are going to qualify out of position?
Anybody who I think is going to qualify out of position. Well, we saw that the McLarens last week, they were able to finish. They finished kind of midfield. So I wanna say that the McLarens right now, they can push it back up and they can start pushing for those higher positions. I reckon that possibly one of them could be in for something good here.
That would be good to see. Obviously, we nearly saw hell in a cell last week from the McLaren managers. They didn't like some of the jargon being thrown around here in the box, so hopefully we won't have to have another fight with them this week if they just do their jobs this time. Pick up a good strategy.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, well, I think there's already a couple Red Bulls getting ready to go out. I can see the, whatever you want to call them, the guys in the pit box actually walking around, and we've got quite a few cars on track now.
They've not wasted any time at all, have they?
Yeah, I think it's really just going to be get a feel for the track right as it is right at this point, and go off that.
Yeah, so yeah, looks like that will be the Red Bull. Ooh, that's the Williams, in fact, of Trenny leading us away. So it looks like might be able to ride on board with Trenny, see if we can get a first lap in. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the Williams boys. We've seen, I think they came together in the last couple of weeks. Both sort of ruined each other's chance at the race. We've seen a few spins, so Trenny will be looking to find a bit of form at the home race. Unfortunately, It is everyone's home race pretty much. We are ARL, Australian Racing League, so he doesn't have much of an advantage today.
Yeah, well, I think last week we saw the Williams actually come together at the start of, Bahrain. 2 weeks ago, we saw the Williams come together at the start of the race, and let's just see if they've managed to sort out some disputes between them, and if they can get back up to where they rightfully belong. I believe they've got quite a bit of pace in them. It's just a matter of really extracting it and not forcing any errors out of the car.
Yeah, so you're saying Trenny's starting up a lap soon, and it is interesting. Obviously, we've got this new track, and you talk about errors. I got to say, particularly for me, that sharp right-hander at the start of Sector 3, I cannot get that right. I'm going to be making mistakes here, and it's with a new track layout. We're all sort of nerds, I guess. We've all played F1 games for a while. Sometimes a completely new track layout, it really throws a spanner in the works, doesn't it? And,
yeah, speaking of spanner in the works, Xander, I believe. Sorry, not Xander. The other Alpine of Bailey actually spun on the exit, so he's having to sit there for a little while.
He's basically finds the barriers on his hot lap, so not a great start for ARL generally. And a spin onto the track, it might be risk of impeding the Red Bulls there as they come by. He's slowly extricating himself, Trenny here, and like the vultures we are continuing to watch him struggle. So hope everyone's enjoying this.
Oh, that Aston Martin going past Williams there, that just gives me flashbacks to the actual race where we saw Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi come together at that corner.
Yeah, the Canadians. So, and who's leading us right now? Who's going to be our first one over the line? There's going to be someone on a fiery hot lap, right? It might be Joe or Nameless Guy. Looks like Joe. Joe, obviously championship leader, P2 last week, runs very wide there into the penultimate corner. Keeps it tidy through the final one. Will have lost a little bit of time there, but he'll be a great benchmark. And 1:18.966.
So it's a nice time to really put a benchmark in there. A 1:18, it's a good time, very comparative for a very unrubbered track, you could say. And as that rubber keeps getting layered down, the protection from the oversteer and from the spins is just going to get better and better.
Yeah, and Kev the Gardener there takes P2 for Aston Martin. This is this Aston Martin consistency we've been talking about. I'm watching Base Baby right now. Is he getting a toe there? Are they both on hot laps? Base Baby looks to be a lot quicker than whoever that is in the Alfa Romeo ahead. And might be losing some time there. Might have just gone too early on his hot lap, because it doesn't look like the Alfa there of Achuri getting out of the way. Base Baby might be quite frustrated by this, but that's qualifying. And there's a Mercedes round on the home straight. That will be, it's like Panache.
No,
that is Panache.
Those cars, they are really struggling at that final corner now. I said, these new cars, new regulations, new corners. That final corner, the wall, I think, got widened a little bit. The track didn't, but the wall did. I don't know what's happening there. It could just be the current rubber on the track. Drivers might not be feeling it right now.
Yeah, it's often if you come from doing a lot of TT practice, you find the track's just not quite as grippy, particularly at start of qualifying, and easy to give it a bit of a hoof and put the car around. And that last corner, curves can be a bit destabilizing with the latest model. A few guys getting caught out, I think. And currently riding on board with Wow Wubsy, finding himself a lot of traffic through Sector 3, and at least one light on ahead from someone harvesting. That looks to be Hawk or Bevo. So Wubsy barely closes up to the back just as the traffic clears into the pit lane. So it looks like he might just get a clean lap in here, and we'll see if he can meet his teammate Kev the Gardener up on the second row. Not quite. P9 for Wow Wubsy.
A lot of these drivers, we've seen the 118s come out straight away from the gates, but the 119s, a lot of the drivers are kind of looking in that midfield 119 spot all the way. We got from P3 to P11. If you can do your maths, I believe that's 9 drivers right there that are in the 119. So it's going to be interesting when the track rubbers into these drivers, all going to get down to the 118s, and are we going to see a really close battle for those midfield spots?
It does. It's got to look like it, doesn't it? At the moment, they are really close, and even that lower midfield, just outside 11, Wolf, Hawk Trio, Trenny all barking at the door of that 119 time. So plenty of competition here, and I love a good midfield here, and I can't wait to see how the extra DRS zones here spices up that midfield fight. If we're going to see some good following and good passing, because Australia's always been a bit of a frustrating one to be bottled up in, hasn't it? But hopefully these changes are going to give us a great race. They certainly did with the real life F1, and we know our drivers are much more talented, so yeah, we'd hope we'll see some good things.
Yeah, well, you can only hope. From last race, we had a lot of desyncs, so we don't know if that might decide to strike again in this race, or if it's going to go all smoothly. Don't want to have a red flag again for the second time in a week, otherwise it just gets a bit boring.
Yeah, the desyncs have been a real curse this season, haven't they? And obviously it's not something we can control. It's an issue of the game, and thanks everyone for bearing with us when we do have these technical difficulties. We're really hoping we won't see them tonight. We've got a full grid. Everyone seems to have good connections at the moment, so really hoping that this will be the broadcast that goes smoothly for the F1 game.
Yeah, now Achuri's actually making his way around the final corner at the end of his hot lap. I don't think it's going to be the best time from him, maybe a 120. Just a 119.6, that's going to put him midfield, but here comes his teammate across the line, old mate James. Can he go faster? 3/10 up in Sector 2, it's going to be a 119.1.
Big improvement there from James, but not actually a position, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty certain that was an improvement, but not really a position improvement.
Yeah, and Joe right now has just started his second hot lap. Joe, obviously, always a threat for pole position, so we keeping a bit of an eye on him. Might even ride on board for a little bit as he makes his way through Sector 1.
Yeah, now turn 3, 4, and 5, they're really critical. If you lock up your tyres into turn 3, it'll just it won't set you up for turns 4, 5, and then you're going to have a bad run into turn 6. But this DRS straight, you know, it's probably not a DRS straight anymore, but this straight, it's probably the most important one. It's so long, you've got nothing helping you along. You've got to make sure you get that exit, that minimum speed, to as high as you can without losing those rear tires.
Joe right now showing us how it's done, and traffic gets out of his way just in time. McLaren pulling out of the way. It's looking like a pretty clean lap so far from Joe. Haven't really seen any snaps of oversteer. Can he keep it clean through the sharp right? He does. And could be threatening here. Haven't been keeping a track of his sector timers, but he is sticking it nicely there. Misses the apex by ever so little, but very clean lap here from Joe. And DRS open. He's put to the floor now on his way home to the home straight, and it's going to be a 118.281. So I hope everyone put their money on, yes, we will be breaking a 118.5, because Joe's done it, puts it on pole, and that's something for Shinuti to respond to.
Yeah, I put 9,000 points into that poll, so I'm very thankful I'm going to be getting them back in a bigger sum.
This is why you're in the box, mate, because you've got the wisdom. You can pick the times.
Yes. But, I think we got a couple drivers coming on hot laps. Valhalla, he's down in P10 right now, on an out lap. Now, let's see who's coming across the line. I think I've just got to check. Kev the Gardener goes third fastest with a 118.8, and then Robbie's right behind him with another 118.8, only a 100 separating the two drivers.
About to see Shinuti try and fight back for P1 as well. Makes his way over the line now, and takes it back from Joe by just over 1/10 of a second. So things are heating up at the front here. Joe's got a new challenger.
Well, I don't think any of us thought that Shinuti might be in it for this race, or for this pole position at the front run, but he really has made his name known right now. With 7 minutes to go, he's up the front.
Yeah, a bit of a return
and
to
I
form.
definitely did not expect it.
He was a qualifying beast last season, Shinuti, but tended to fall off a bit in the race. So it's good to see him back, back in his old position.
Yeah, Tadachi going P9, and Base Baby actually only a 119.1 right now, so a second off the pace from pole position right now. I don't think that's where he wants to be.
We did see Base caught in traffic on his first lap, so that might have played a bit of a role. But when I say traffic, I just mean behind a slower car. They're on their hot lap too. They didn't have to get out of the way.
Oh, definitely. So it's really just important to make sure you leave that big enough gap, because if you are faster, or they make a couple mistakes and they don't bail, they do not have to get out of the way for you.
Yeah, and I'm just watching Bailey right now. Still hasn't set a good lap. Back into the pits again, having an absolute nightmare over time. Hasn't set a hot lap, and he's got no wing on him. So Bailey really struggling. Alpine saw Xander going out late, and he seems to have made it work. But Bailey just cannot seem to stick a lap right now.
Well, Valhalla, as I was talking, he was P11 before, he's gone P6. Although he's still 8/10 off pole position. There's 8/10 separating the top 6. I wonder if anybody else might be able to respond to the top runners, because from P2 to P3 there's a 5/10 gap, and that is pretty chunky if you're trying to look to qualify in the front row with Joe and Shinuti.
That is, and half a second adds up over 20 laps, doesn't it? But right now, one to watch maybe Base Baby, had a compromised lap. He's on an out lap right now, making his way through Sector 3, so we'll be keeping a close eye on him as he makes his way around the track.
Yeah, and that sparkling red Ferrari just glowing in the sunlight at this track. It's very beautiful. And as he starts his hot lap, he's going to just try and make the most of this. I think it's not going to be his all or nothing hot lap, but it's just going to be, secure a better time, and see what we can do.
And here we go then. Looks like he's getting a decent start to the lap, carrying a bit of speed through that final corner.
Yeah, all the way down to turn 1 now. Making sure you brake. There's a couple markers actually on the track where you can brake for that turn 1. And down with that DRS wide open again, the double detection zone. And braking, making sure you really hug that apex. If you lock up or go wide, you're gonna compromise yourself for turns 4, and then turn 5. It should be flat out in this division, just lifting with some of them, so the track might not be rubbered in as much yet. But now coming turn 6 and 7, this is a really important one. You've got to be able to run the car wide, keep the minimum speed high, and in to the very long straight here of Sector 2. Sector 2, it's basically 2 turns in a straight. So it should be a very fast sector. But turns 9 and 10, this is a difficult one to get right. Go wide, you invalidate.
He has
And
just
got
set
to
a
get on the
fastest
power at the
sector
right
2 there,
time.
base baby. So he's looking quick. He's 3.5 temps up. As he makes his way into sector 3, but obviously a lot of the time here is in sector 3 because there are some corners where you can lose a lot of low speed corners to work with here. Base baby looks to be keeping it clean so far though. As to the second last and into the final corner and keeping it clean and tidy. DRS opens, shoots on down to the line, and P3 pushing Kev the Gardener into P4, so still some way off the front too. Shanuti and Joe showing some serious pace right now, but Base Baby back up in the mix.
Yeah, well, Base Baby, I hope he probably went for that lap a little bit more comfortably rather than going all or nothing. I really hope that's not his all or nothing pace, and I hope that there's more to see from him after he boxes and comes out on a new set of tyres again.
Yeah, we'd like to see him right up there with the kerfuffle, wouldn't we? Another guy we'd like to see up there, Bailey right now. Still only a 1:33.3, out on probably his final chance to set a hot one, so hopefully the commentator's curse won't kick in and he'll keep this one clean.
Yeah, well, Foxy had a bit of an issue back there. He's P19 right now. He had a bit of an issue on his lap. He lost the car and invalidated, so that's not going to be very good for him. But Bailey, we can say 3 seconds up on his time. Although that would only be a 1:30, that's still more than 10 seconds off the pace right now. So whether or not he can pull out something in sector 3 and 2, we'll just have to wait.
3.5 seconds left. You can only assume that if he had a bit of a kerfuffle, it must have been in the final sector, because that doesn't look too bad right now. It doesn't look like it's 20 seconds off the pace anyway, or 10 seconds off the pace. And keeping it clean, still a few opportunities to make a mistake here. A lot of guys pushing too hard, go a bit deep into this hairpin right here. And Bailey, no such issues. Keeps it, if anything, doesn't use as much of the track as he could have, and he's got a slipstream down to the line, so that's going to be perfect for Bailey. He's going to be loving this, and that is going to be only P17, but he'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, a bit sad. The lap looked good, but I guess what was happening there's obviously a lot of improvement. That was probably, I think, his final lap, 2 minutes 15. He can recharge and go again, but I don't think he's got enough fuel, so sadly, he's going to be starting from the back of the grid right there.
Yeah, that's looks like that's going to be the best he can do.
And Bailey, he's actually spun. He's on the racing line. This is a very dangerous place. He's reversing to make way for a couple of people.
Doing the right thing there, Bailey.
Ooh, very scary spot.
Yeah, not where you want to be. And see if he's got any temperature in those. Well, he's probably got too much temperature in those tires. He's going to have to get off the racing line again, as there's someone on an in-lap coming through, but... Oh, and it looks like they've spun as well. It looks like, is that Kev the Gardener or Wow Wubsy? Reversing.
I'm unsure, but
Oh, and that's Shanuti! That's an outlap, that's okay, that's an outlap. Thought he was going to be a very unhappy customer for a moment there, and what's in the line now? Joe is going to be starting his final lap.
Speaking of final laps, I think Tadachi pulled out of his lap. And he's done with that, but Valhalla as well. But let's, I guess, right on board with Joe.
And there is a lot of traffic coming up here. We see McLaren off track there. Probably because they're engineers. And Joe makes his way through, navigates the chaos quite cleanly. And he looks like he hasn't improved on his first sector time though, so he's going to have to up it somewhere. And Bailey retires or crashes. He's out of the session in any case, and Robbie leaving now as well, so quick session over. A couple of guys starting to abandon, wait for the race to get started, maybe go do some stretches, shake it out, get a drink.
Meanwhile, shaking it out and getting for a drink, Joe's actually a 10th down on his time. This isn't what he wants to see. So a 10th down means that he's not going to be getting pole position, of course.
And there was a snap there as well. He's wobbling. Oh, and he's gone very wide there. I think that's going to be paid to Joe's bid for P1. It looks like at the moment Shanuti unchallenged Joe into the pits there. Yes, not even going to bother.
Now, can we jump back on board with my teammate here, Valhalla? He's on his lap right now, down in P10, entering the final couple of corners. Oh no, he has. Oh no. Oh, I just have to open my mouth.
Nah, I think I'd love to stay on board with Shinuti, but he's already kind of won it. I don't know who to watch now. Foxy is doing all that. He'll be finishing a little after Shinuti. I think we should. Oh, Shinuti! Absolute chaos into the wall. Fastest man in qualifying. Doesn't really need to finish a lap, but he's he's not going to be improving. 118, 179 will be your pole time tonight, I do believe.
Yeah, that is not good. I went. You started talking about Foxy on their hot lap, and I saw Shinuti spun, and I went to butt in to start talking about it. But it seems like, oh my, there's a car in the corner of that track as well. Alfa Romeo.
Panache.
Interesting corner.
So Shinuti will be crossing, limping over without much dignity here. Hawk Trio next over, light flashing, he's abandoned that lap, won't be improving on P11, and is that Foxy behind, looking to improve on P20, push Salty down to the wooden spoon position, and Foxy right now is going to improve a few positions up to P17, so pushes Salty down to P20. Salty has finished his lap, won't have any chance to improve. It looks like last man out, Xander, will be pitting. So that's going to be your final standings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Shinuti, Joe, Kev the Gardener, Base Baby, Wolf, Woa, Wubsy, Robbie, Bevo, Panache, and Valhalla will be your top 10. Everyone below that had a bit of a miserable time, but they'll be looking to make it up in the race. Any surprises in that for you, Deku?
Well, I definitely didn't expect Shinuti to be first. That's for sure. I thought Joe or Bass Baby were going to take it. Base Baby, sorry. We're going to take it, but I was 100% wrong with that one. But then again, if you have good qualifying pace, you got to make sure you have good race pace.
You do, and you know, consistency counts for a lot. Being able to do it once, you know, as we saw with Shinuti, obviously he's pushed a little too hard on that final lap, so he's going to have to make sure he's not doing that in the race, settling into a bit of a rhythm, and he does have, you know, half a second on most of those guys to play with, so he's a fair bit quicker. He can, you know, relax a little bit and should still have the pace based on his qualifying.
Yeah, well, these first couple of laps with the formation lap on now, so these drivers are going to be able to warm up their tyres. They're going to be able to choose the strategy they want and not be affected by EA being EA.
Delicately phrased.
Yeah, well, got to make sure you start somewhere with these 14 turns around Australia. Who will win? Who will come out on top? And most importantly, who will make it through turn 1?
Oh, that's going to be a big one. We have, I've got to say, there's a famous tale going back in the law books of ARL. Australia, a man actually taking part in this race, Kev the Gardener, decided not to break into turn 1 and DNF'd about 11 people in one corner. I think it's still the biggest pile-up I've ever seen. So I'll be keeping a close eye on him into turn 1 because he does have prior form here.
Prior form? Prior form of racing or prior form of crashing?
Of being a torpedo. I've never seen a race red flag so quickly. He just didn't break at all. It was incredible. So yeah, Kev the Gardener, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on him. He's a bit of a wild card. That said, he is starting near the front tonight, so a few less people to kill.
Oh, the last person that was nicknamed the Torpedo at a track actually, I think, got a podium at it, or did very well. So it's going to be interesting to see if this Torpedo can make his way to the podium.
Yeah, add a bit more to Aston Martin's lead at the top of the standings there.
Yeah. Or I guess you could say in ship terms, could the Torpedo sink its ship? That sounds a lot more like you know? Oh. Yeah, no, that sounded more like crashing. Anyway, formation lap time. Let's see. Will the drivers, I guess, have a look at the tires? Mediums for the front 6. Sorry, for the front 7 with Bevo on the hards. So the McLarens and the AlphaTauri trying an alternate strategy here with old mate James and Nameless Guy on softs. Are they going to be banking for a safety car in the first couple of laps here, Nordal?
Yeah, you'd have to think so. I think very unusual. You know, we were sort of discussing before whether or not it would be meds hards or hards meds. I don't think either of us expected to see softs in the mix unless we saw a safety car. So yeah, I think these guys are banking on an early safety car, maybe Kev the Torpedo into turn 1, bring them out something nice, because you can one-stop this. And we've seen with this new handling model, this new game, that the hards are a reasonable, a very good race tie, and people don't really like to be on the softs at all. So, yeah, really sort of bold decision from those guys.
Yeah, well, I think once upon a time, this track you could do a soft hard. Although maybe they've tested it out in their simulations and they're able to do it. And is there meant to be a 10-car gap in the formation lap?
I don't think it's supposed to be quite as big as it is. Is that Foxy there with like a
There's
10
couple
barge
drivers,
gap? But all's well then. So I assume that it's not going to cause too much harm to the front runners' tyres. And fantastic spectator sport these days as well is seeing who's going to actually slot into the grid slot and who's going to get disqualified. Because so 5 yards down to turn 1 could really hurt you, especially if you're on the wrong side of the track.
Now, what was the so do you remember the Evergreen?
I do remember the Ever Given. Ever Given?
Yeah, Ever Given? That's the one. So do you think we are going to see an Ever Given type? Do you think anybody's going to do that here today? Either keep the lead and defend like a lion, or maybe accidentally block off the track?
Yeah, look, I think down around between turn 3 and turn 5 is a fantastic place to spin and get in everyone's way. I know there's that sausage curb down there that you can just absolutely get stranded on now, with how low the cars sit on that curb. So, yeah, I think we're going to see some colourful stuff. And right now, even Salty going backwards on his way to the start line.
What is he doing? Oh,
this is the most spectacular start. This is how F1 races should always start.
Oh, he's got some grass on his tyres.
Absolutely crumbling under the pressure.
Maybe it's a strategy. Maybe he's going to get an absolute golden start and do something amazing.
Master plan. It can only be. I can't wait to see what he's got for us. And probably for the start will be hopefully looking to the front line, and we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and they've dropped it. Here we go, they're off, and we can't see anything immediately because Codemasters hate us. Looks like Shanuti's still leading down to the line. That is a very aggressive move there from Kev the Gardener, it looks like, going long way up the inside. And
there's contact in the back, the Ferrari and the Red Bull. There's a
huge collision.
About 7 or 8 cars getting impeded there. And oh no, that is not what you want to see into turn 1. A couple of people's races are already. Oh no, and the McLaren has hit a Mercedes. The McLaren is spun round. The Haas has hit it. The Haas has hit the McLaren. There's
oh
a
my
freaking
god,
car
huge DNF there for Tadachi. Sorry, AlphaTauri going out of the race early, and it didn't look like it was his fault. Just catching that in the background there, and a couple of guys wobbling around uncertainly now. We've got a full course. Is that a safety? That's got to be a full safety, right?
Now it's a
virtual. I can't see the safety on track. Yeah, I can't see the yellow dot. It's like a virtual safety. So good news for those guys who managed to get a good start. It looks like Wubsy that was at the start, getting an absolute awesome car, pulling right to the very inside, and getting all the way up inside of turn 1, sowing a bit of chaos behind him, but really making it work. And
now. Yeah, through turn 1, I saw a Ferrari get spun round, a couple cars impeded by that, and then on the way to turn 3, we saw a Mercedes hit the back of a McLaren, and chaos just ensued at the back from that. But speaking of chaos, these guys are back underway. They are racing once again at the Australian Grand Prix, and lap 2 has commenced.
And Shanuti off to a great start there, really getting the jump on Wawa Wubsy, who looks like he's under immense pressure right now from Joe. So Shanuti loving this, and time to just relax a little bit. It's Joe already having to Wubsy already having to defend that position.
And Kev the Gardener behind Joe, actually going very deep into that corner. I was scared that he was going to hit the rear of that Red Bull. But all clean racing so far, but Bass Baby has actually gained on him a little bit, so
he has, and Kev the Gardener probably hoping that Wubsy will back Joe up into him a little bit, because obviously with that Aston Martin sandwich, they're in a great position to play the team game here if they've got similar pace. And looks like, though, Kev the Gardener really coming under pressure from Bass Baby right now, and he's going to be, for both Astons, very important that they get a really clean exit from the chicane, because they're both under fire.
Joe has got a really good run out of this corner. I don't think he's going to use the RS. He's going to stick behind, and he's just going to see where it can get him right now, I think. Because Shanuti right now, he's running away, and Wubsy's kind of just being that ship that we talked about. He's just really like letting Shanuti get a gap and gain to the drivers behind.
He is, and yeah, Shanuti already out to 3 seconds, and Wubsy clearly here, a little bit slower than Joe, and goes very defensive very early. I don't think it's going to help him. Joe's just going to get a slipstream all the way down the straight. Wubsy can't move again to defend, and maybe just enough speed there with dumping some battery, and bumping Joe. Joe goes off track, doesn't take the place in the end. Meanwhile, Kev the Gardener still holding off Base Baby, and the pressure is on. Joe goes to the outside, Wubsy defensive again, and Joe goes the very long way around, goes off track, and we'll have the inside line for the next corner. Bit more wheel bumping, Wubsy still ahead. Wubsy gets his foot to the floor, and Kev the Gardener right now on the very back of these two, closing right up with all this fighting, and it's a three-way battle now for P2. Wubsy still holding off Joe. And
Joe's not over yet. He's going to get another slipstream all the way down to turn 9 and 10. Will he try and make the move, or is he just going to sit behind? He moved to the outside, and it looks like he's going to be alongside coming into the corner. Oh, never mind. He just backs out. But a couple drivers behind, James and Xander swapping. But DRS enabled this lap. Joe, he's got the DRS. He's got the overspeed. He's gone wide, and he's going to look like he makes the move into turn 11. Very wide corner now, very unsettling, and he's onto the gravel trap he goes.
And look how close Kev the Gardener is right now. He is so hungry to get in amongst us, and he's just hoping that these two drive each other off track. Joe with the inside line looks like after, very, very understeering, and Kev the Gardener pounces. Base Baby through too. Wubsy, the big loser there, probably very unhappy with that. It was Joe's mistake, pushed him off track. And Kev the Gardener swoops into P2, now 6.2 seconds behind Shanuti. We must be wondering what the hell is going on behind him. And he's just got daylight between him and the next guy.
Yeah, well, I guess you could say through goes Kev the Gardener, gaining two positions with one stone there. But it's not over. These guys are going to continue fighting. As you can see, side by side for almost the entire lap. They've got a lot of pace, and Shanuti right now, he's very fine. As a big drift there from Joe as we head down through to turn 6 and 7 in these cars.
And Kev the Gardener and Base Baby, as a consequence of that snap, nearly opening up a second over Joe right now. He's come under fire again from Wubsy, who's probably got an axe to grind right now. And James, by the way, huge performance from him on the softs. He is making them work. He's up to P6 right now. I don't know how many positions that is for him. 7 positions gained currently. So if we do see a safety car, James might be looking a bit cleverer than we thought he was.
Yeah, well, Base Baby, he's having a good run. He's got that ERS open, and he's got a lot more than Kev. But he's just going to sit behind as we look a bit further back. Old mate James and Wubsy, P5 and 6. These guys are just battling it out. We've got a lot of cars right now within a very small gap of each other. But the tyre compound's relatively the same. And Base Baby, he's got that straight. He's got the DRS, but he does not have the exit, sadly. He lost a lot of time compared to Kev the Gardener on that. And it looks like he's going to have to settle in for this first DRS straight and maybe the second one, as we'll see here.
Yeah, Base Baby looking like he's just struggling to follow a little bit there. He gets right up to the back, and then I think he's just not quite, leaving enough of a gap ahead of him and having to sort of get extra on the brakes and not carrying that apex speed. Because, he closes up and then he just falls off to the back again. And Joe, meanwhile, having similar problems. Joe going very wide again. Looks like Joe really struggling with his tyres here. I don't know if just pushed a little hard or he maybe left the pressures up too high or something, but really falling off the back right now of Kev the Gardener and Base Baby, who are looking awesome and even starting to bite into that lead a little bit from Shanuti. Oh, and old mate James, we've cursed him. He's doing well on those softs, but it looks like he has come to some grief. Can't actually see him. There he is there, just staying off the racing line. He's completely wingless and probably feeling a bit sorry for himself right now.
Yeah, well, we did have a talk about the sauce, I believe, and they just overheated, I think, a little bit too quickly for him.
Yeah.
And just did not expect it, I reckon. But that can be something to be discussed later. But as we can see, Base Baby, he's 7 tenths actually, into the penultimate corner. On the exit, he's lost a bit of time, but gaining it through that last corner. Rear wing open, and I don't think he's going to be close enough. We can take a look further back. Where Wubsy and Joe getting a little bit close, 7 tenths between them, 5 tenths now. But everybody else has spread themselves out a little bit, the cars behind. Only a McLaren and Haas, P9 and 10, that are a little bit closer further away.
Yeah, we just saw Wolf before getting past Foxy, and Foxy, by the way, big mover up to P9 right now. And, other big movers, Nameless Guy and Xander, both managing to keep it clean, up 11 and 6 spots respectively. And looking like they've capitalised a lot on the mayhem behind them, but really not losing too much pace to those front guys for making their way through the field. So good recovery drive from those two. Get back in the mix. And Foxy right now is falling through the field as well. I'm not sure what's going on there. Is he taking some damage?
We'll have to have a look. It doesn't look like his car's got much damage, if any. It looks perfectly fine.
Losing
just
time almost
I think
constantly.
He's spun a little bit.
Yeah, really struggling there.
Base Baby, actually, he's closer than he's ever been right now, I think, going through this third and final sector of this track. And guess what? So is Wow Wubsy right now. Can these two keep it together through the penultimate corner on that apex, on the power? Kev getting a little bit of oversteer, I think, but Joe, Base...
Kev's the Gardner around, and he's taking out Base Baby too! Oh no, that's absolutely devastating for both Kev the Gardner and of course Base Baby, who did nothing wrong. Absolute victim of that one. And I don't really know where he can go on that. Joe and Wow Wubsy obviously licking their chops right now. Zooming through back into the podium positions, but that is absolute heartbreak for... looks like Base Baby actually minimizing damage. He's lost an end plate there. He's on the meds, so he might be able to make the hards go long enough that he can minimize the damage from that. And we're not seeing a safety car, so Kev the Gardner managed to get off the racing line quick enough to avoid any further chaos, and looking almost undamaged. Oh no, he's lost an end plate too.
Yeah, well, Kev the Gardener, I mentioned just before that corner that it looked like he had a bit of oversteer. His tyres might have been a little bit hot or a little bit not fresh, and he just lost it on the exit, I believe. So it looked like it, surely just losing it. And Base Baby with nowhere to go, just nowhere to go really, just too soon, not enough time to react. Just in the crossfire of that like a poor civilian.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we saw a lot of that last week at Jeddah. Obviously, a couple of these guys may be a bit sick of having to avoid chaos in front of them, and it's a bit of a shock for all our guys here. We've returned ghosting off most of our divisions this season for the first time. Obviously, Elite already had to deal with that, and it does sow some carnage and really sort of brings a bit of reality to the to the whole. It's a cruel sport thing when. You can very much lose that due to no fault of your own. Base Baby right now into the pits, and it looks like he is going to be going for those hards. I can't think he would have wanted to do anything else. And I guess we'll have to see how strong the undercut is if he can make up for that damage.
Well, the pit stop time is an extra 7 seconds. Is an extra 5 seconds because of the front wing change. But if he can really heat those tires up, really fire the rears up, and get into it. And really get into the groove of this track, he might be able to just get a little bit, some positions back, not all of them, but he might be able to get a little bit of points.
And when you're sitting right at the top of the table, you can't always take maximum points, but it's important you just keep them coming and get as many as you can. So Base Baby in a very good position right now to drive a very strong recovery drive. He's got clear ahead of him. He's only in P11. Most of the guys ahead of him still have to stop, so very good position to maybe get his nose back on the podium if he drives well.
Yeah, well, speaking of podium, Trinity right now, he's got an 8.5 second gap to Joe. So he's coming around the final corner while Joe's just about to enter the hairpin. That's a big gap, because if a safety car were to come out or a virtual, he could pit and he could come out very much clean. And speaking of coming out clean, he recently just set the fastest lap of the race of a 1:22.3 purple all throughout the track, and that's what happens when you go purple.
Yeah, and he's got no pressure on him, he's got clear air, all he has to do is whatever he wants, and he's making it work for him right now. Nameless Guy jumped into the pits.
Shinudi actually had a really big moment there at the exit of turn 4. He almost went completely sideways, just able to catch the car back in time.
Maybe pushing a little too hard there, Shinudi. And you called it, by the way. Nameless Guy going softs to hards. He's going to try and make that work. And he did make up a lot of positions in that first stint on the softs. And did see his pace starting to fall off there. He got past Bevo, and then Bevo started catching him again. So probably picking the right time to pit. And he's going to have to go as far as Base Baby, so it could be a viable strategy.
Yeah, well, you could call him Nameless Guy, the Nameless Torpedo. He went all the way from around last place, 18th or 17th, all the way up to P6 before he pitted, and that is some achievement to do within like the first 2 laps of the race. He kept his position, I think, pretty close after until the incident on the final corner with the other 2 drivers.
Oh, and just watch Robbie spinning around. Robbie there putting pressure on Valhalla for P16, but ultimately, I guess being on screen there has done him mischief. He is in no man's land now, driving around by himself, and actually had a bit of threat of being overlapped by Shinuti, who is now only not too far behind.
Yeah. Now Wubsy, as we were talking about Joe and Wubsy earlier, a couple laps ago, probably 5 or 6. Or 5 or 4, sorry. But the distance between those 2 is 1.3 seconds. But the tyres are still 9 laps old, so Joe, he has a little bit faster pace than Wubsy, and it's really starting to show now in these couple of laps where the tyres are a little bit more degraded and a little bit more harder to use, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it looked like Joe really struggling in those early laps, so maybe just pushing the tyres a bit too hard, a bit too early, and then, taking a few laps to bring him back into a window and settling into a bit of a groove. Because, right now he's clearly got the pace on Wubsy, he's just falling off more and more. But Shinuti's just... They're not reeling him in, are they? And you'd think maybe the solution here would be to work together, but I think with the pace difference between Joe and Wubsy, Joe is still going to be slower overall if he tries to work together. And there is a... Alfa Romeo, and it looks like a Churi sitting last on track, has been overlapped, gets off the racing line just as looks like Joe goes through. Oh, not Joe. Nameless guy goes through there.
We've got a retirement in the pit lane. Robbie, obviously saving the engine for another day. He's done. He's out, and
unhappy after that spin.
But all the drivers now a little bit spread out, close between. Right now it's a little bit close between P4, P5, P6, but although still a big gap between them. But the closest drivers right now is P13, P14, Salty and Kev, the Willie and the Aston, who they're not fighting for points. It looks like they're just close to each other. Everybody in the points right now are just spread out.
I think Kev the Gardener might still be fighting for points here. He has obviously pit. And but as you said, not a lot of guys fighting for position closely right now. I think a lot of the ongoing battle in this race is actually, now we're going to see the pit strategy start to play out. And those guys on the hard tires, such as Bevo, started on the hards. Might be seeing those come into their own a little bit, and we'll see how the strategic game plays out a little more. But yeah, it looks like the only close on-track battle is Kev the Gardener absolutely making tracks into that lead of Salty right now. Salty qualified P20, doesn't look like his strongest track right now. And yeah, Kev looking very hungry. There's a DRS zone coming up soon and a very long stretch, so Kev will be licking his lips, trying to just keep it tidy through these next few corners and get the best possible exit he can as they send it into Sector 2 as they just pass. It's like... sure who that is, I think that's a Churi, is it? Lapped Alfa Romeo, having an absolutely awful time.
Yeah, well, all of these drivers here, they're very competent and they look to be going very nice and smoothly right now. They're just keeping it clean, keeping to themselves, not really pushing or under-pushing. Speaking of which, we have a spinner at the back. I'm not sure if that's Salty. Sorry, it is Trenny S, who was... impeded Haas actually having a collision between the two. I'm not sure if there's any damage, I can't tell.
Oh,
but they're going very
into
slow.
The wall for absolutely no reason that I can see, and very unsafely spinning it around there. Kev the Gardener taking a Churi out of the race. That was caught live. That's probably not a good look for Kev the Gardener. He probably won't be super pleased about that one. And surprised to not see a yellow flag. We're seeing a lot of these cars trying to give back positions, it looks like. I'm not really sure there. Valhalla going very slowly for a minute, and yeah, a bit unfortunate for a Churi there.
Speaking of unfortunate, Kev the Gardener gets a 5-second
Kev the
penalty.
Gardener goes from bad for worse, just joining the stream, just in time to see one of our glorious leaders causing chaos, and seeing some guys going slow. Is this some? I don't know. Gare's suggesting safety's bugged. Yep.
Speaking of pitting, Joe's actually in the Red Bull getting a very good stop there onto the hards. He's going to come out. He's probably going to come out P7, and he'll have time to fire up the hards. But I dare say Shinuti right now, unless he does anything really bad, dumb, stupid, with that car, with himself, he looks to be on track for a very perfect pit stop to come out in P1.
He does, doesn't he? And yeah, just absolutely no pressure on him right now. You've got to think that I would have thought if I were him, I would be responding to Joe, because there's just no need to extend your tyres any further and, you know, risk that degradation catching you out. He's under absolutely no pressure. There's, you know, he doesn't need to really play strategy here. He just needs to play it safe. And I can't help but thinking Mercedes engineers will be bringing him in soon.
Yeah, well, I think it's time for him to pit those tyres. I was talking about it with some people. I think lap 13 was the right time for the mediums to kind of be thrown out into the bin.
And he's heard you. Shanuti pits.
Oh, well then. Look at that. Onto the hard tyre we must go. And a good stop from the Merc Pitties. And will Wobbsy follow him in? Let's see, find out. Wobbsy is actually going to stay out.
Going for the overcut.
Oh, is Shanuti actually going to come out in P1 still on the cold tyre?
It's going to be close, but I don't think quite. And Shanuti just needs to keep his nose clean here. Yeah, he doesn't want to get involved in any of that kerfuffle. Yeah, look at him just seating quite happily there to Wobbsy as he goes through. And that looks like Wobbsy, in fact, about to lap his teammate. So we talked about the consistency of the Aston Martins, but Kev the Gardener has spent a lot of time in the grass, I guess living up to his name today, and really having an awful race.
Yeah, we've got the two Alpines in the pits as well, Xander and Bailey. But Nameless Guy, you can see he's gaining a little bit on his laps now. Back into P8, so he should be happy with that from where he started from. But now his goal is to try and chase down a 9-second gap on Base Baby, which is going to be the main thing for here. But remember what we talked about at the start of this with the standings: Valhalla, Base Baby, and Joe. Wobbsy looks to be probably one of the better runners out of this race so far. Even though he has to pit, it looks like he won't come out ahead. Joe, I think, will come out. Actually, none of the driver P4, P3 and P4 have not pitted yet. So Joe is still net P3 right now.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if that undercut on Wobbsy will pay off for him, if Wobbsy going longer will work. It's going to be very interesting to see. I'm trying to see what the actual gap between them is. So Wobbsy right now is... Ooh, no, Wobbsy is not going to come out ahead of Joe. He's not got much of a lead on him at all. It looks like that undercut paying off quite well for Joe.
Yeah, so Joe actually with a 2-second gap to the car in front, so he... you could technically say that he is now basically P2 if he does nothing wrong. That the Bevo still has to pit, as we got a yellow flag in Sector 1. Don't know what it's for. Looks a bit like a phony.
Could have been Bevo himself, just having a bit of a moment.
Could have been.
Base Baby gets through on Wolf. I think that's got to be team orders. There was no real fight there at all. And
yeah, well, Wolf is on the colder tyres, so not much of a point fighting it. It'll lose you time and it'll mess up your race.
Yeah, and Wolf not able to fight Xander there. Xander pushes through too. And but we'll have the advantage of the much fresher tyres till the end of the race. Or much fresher, 1 lap fresher. So we'll see if Wolf can fight back in a lap or two.
Yeah, so will Bevo pit this lap? No, I think the hards can definitely go around 17 laps. I'd say probably their peak right there, 17 laps on those tyres. But Joe's catching up. He's probably going to have to overtake soon if he wants to have any shot of catching up to the one and only Shanuti.
Yeah, and I've got to think at this point, Joe might just be settling for P2. To push hard enough to close that gap is... You've got to be thinking it's on Shanuti to make a mistake now and lose this race. Yeah, Joe sitting at the top of the standings, his closest rival, 2 positions behind him. I think he'll be happy to take P2 tonight.
Now, speaking of positions, Hawk Trio had a little bit of a spin, and I think he might lose out a position to Valhalla. Yes, he will. But will he lose out one to old mate James? I don't think he will. Just off the exit of turn 9 and 10, a little bit of a problem there for some cars.
Still clearly struggling with
speaking
tires.
of which, P8, P9, Panache and Nameless Guy, they're going side by side. Neither of them have the DRS, but they do have Slipstream and ERS going into turns 3 and 4. Looks like Nameless Guy is going to come out ahead, and another yellow flag over there in the penultimate corner.
Yeah. Fenny having a bit of a nightmare there, coming unstuck. And has not been a good day for the Williams boys, sitting in P15 and P16. Cannot get it right today. Meanwhile, Panache and Nameless Guy, I'm not sure if these guys are just trading places and towing each other along or what. They are swapping places every single DRS straight, and real lights flashing. Doesn't look like teamwork because they're spending a lot of time side by side, but these guys fighting furiously over that P8. And you got to think that Panache still having to pit and with that penalty is obviously just racing for the fun of it here more than for the actual position. He's giving someone a watch.
I don't think Panache has to pit. He's going to try and go to the end of that.
Oh, he is, yes. Yes, that's a good point. So he is fighting for position. With that penalty, it's obviously going to be an uphill task, but he's given it everything he's got.
Can I butt in here?
Yes.
Salty, he's spun over at turn 8, turn 7, sorry, or turn 6, and he's actually all the way on the gravel. His hards are not going to be happy with how that happened. But he looks like he's going to get back up to speed now, although still down in P16. Doesn't look to be a good day for him.
No, just fighting for dignity there with Kev the Gardener for who will be absolute last position. And looks like Kev has the pace currently, but also has the penalties and the old med tyres. Looks like Kev might be needing to pit again. Absolute chaotic race for him.
Oh no, we've got Nameless Guy actually spinning around there. The commentator's curse has come back in.
And he's across the this is exactly where I thought you could get sprayed across the track and get in people's way. Luckily, everyone's so spread out at the moment that he doesn't have to worry about that. Meanwhile, Joe, by the way, is still stuck behind Bevo. He has been there for, what, 3 or 4 laps now? Bevo going quite slow, and that gap to Shanuti has grown by 4 seconds in that time. So Joe, I think, clearly does not want to take any risks and risk his position, especially with a 10-second lead over Wow or Wubsy. Because he's not pushing very aggressively at all here, and that's not what you expect to see from a guy who's hoping to win this race.
Oh well, definitely. I mean, a 12-second gap, a little bit more than that probably, with Shanuti on fresher tyres than Joe. I'm sorry to say, but unless there's a safety car or some other spanner in the works here, I think Shanuti might be able to just keep that gap and keep growing it at this point until at least Bevo pits. But speaking of pits, yellow flag in Sector 3, although I don't see anything wrong with the cars in Sector 3.
No,
so,
it looked like it was for Bailey, but I can't see any particular issues there. Maybe just a bit of a wobble or something, went a bit slow for a moment.
Yeah, well, the two close cars to each other right now, Valhalla and Trenny, and old mate James and Hawk Trio, all close to each other. But this is not good. Joe actually getting a 3-second time penalty. And we talked about he might want a safety car. He definitely does not want one now. That is going to compromise his race.
Yes, and Valhalla there gets through on Trenny, but yeah, Joe maybe not overly phased by that, but it just puts a little bit more pressure on. You know, it gives Wow Obsy a little more to fight for. And 10 laps, you know, one mistake from Joe, and Obsy can be sniping a few more points off him, and that's not what Obsy wants. And Salty, back of the field, pits. Only 4 laps on those hard tyres and takes a penalty, so absolute chaos for the Williams.
Yeah, well, you know, we have seen right now Bevo and Joe swapping positions, so Bevo is now P3. Going into turn 3, big distance between them, 7/10 between them. But yeah, and speaking of distance between cars, I see a blue and a red car going very close to each other there. That's going to be Xander and Wolf, all the way down past turns 1 and 2, close to each other. The hard versus hard lap 4 v lap 5, and we'll just be able to see and watch this race along as it unfolds for P6.
Yeah, these guys have been fighting ever since they came out of the pit lane, really, so this is a really fierce fight opening up, and it could go on for the rest of the race. From what we've seen, there's really not much difference in these guys' pace at the moment. Wolf just trying to force maybe an error from Xander.
Yeah, so speaking of these two, there's 1/10.
Wolf
is actually going to go around the outside at turns 9 and 10. He gets the move done, and he's got the DRS. He's going to make that move stick all the way down to turn 11. I think now he's got that move stick right to him.
Xander will be fuming. That was stylish. That was very, very late, wasn't it? Too wide through the first part of that chicane. Really brave move from Wolf. And yeah, now he's got to try and build out a bit more of a gap, and he's got the battery to, well, sorry, Xander has the battery to fight this back, and Wolf has used a lot there, so Xander may be playing the long game a little more, and He's going to be coming straight back at him with no... Oh, yep, DRS is down the straight, but it's not long enough for him to get anything done.
Yeah, well, Bass Baby has closed up the gap now 3/10, and Xander still 3/10 behind. I think Xander with 84% ERS, while Wolf is actually completely out at 10%. But another yellow flag, Sector 3. It isn't Red Bull, it's Nameless Guy spinning around. I don't know what the song was called, but something like "You Spin Me Right Round, Baby." That is what he was doing just there. Staying on board though, Bass Baby, is he going to try and do what his teammate did a lap ago? Is he going to look around the outside? He will think better, he'll stick behind, following the tail of that Aston Martin closely. DRS wide open, ERS is going to stay put, as Wubsies, they have around the same amount, 60 v 80, and a yellow flag in Sector 1. What could that mean for Shanuti, the front runner, entering that part of the track?
It did look to be Shanuti as well, that yellow. So hopefully he's going to be clearing those back markers quickly. This must be a bit of a tense moment for him, and I would love to tune in and see how he's going through there. But Base Baby is right on the back of Wubsy, who immediately goes defensive. Base Baby not even bothering to take the slipstream, just going to try and drive straight on through. Doesn't really have the overspeed for it. Wubsy looks like he's well set up for a straight line, and Base Baby not able to get done that. I think it was probably a mistake just not to take a bit more of a toe down the straight. He's got a second chance here, and he's going to go the long way around if he can get it done. Wubsy very defensive again, and we've seen Wubsy defend very fiercely all race, and Base Baby goes wide and not able to get it done. Wubsy with a better line keeps his foot in, and he's away. Base Baby gonna have to try again on the next straight, and he must be conscious as well that his tyres are getting pretty old here. He can't fight like this forever, Base Baby, or he's gonna run him out.
Yeah, well, we were having a look a little bit back, so Wolf and Xander also very close to each other, these guys, and then a couple back markers, I think, behind, but actually, no, I don't think they're back markers. Just my timing sheets are a little bit...
Oh, and here we go. Base Baby. No. Once again, looking up the inside of Wubsy, but can't get it done. Sorry, as you were.
Yeah, you Base Baby. He's actually got a better run. He's got the DRS, and he's going to get past into this corner.
Finally through.
Oh, but look at that. Will Wubsy have a switchback? Oh, he's looking, and he thinks better. Into the penultimate corner. This hairpin can be very difficult for these drivers on a high fuel load and on old tyres. But Wubsy, as you saw, with straight line speed on his side, coming down the main straight, DRS wide open all the way to turn 1. He's going to use the slipstream, but it's not enough. He's nowhere close. 3/10 back into the first corner, and he lost 2/10 through that corner and on the exit. Down the DRS straight, 5/10 behind now as Xander and Wolf swapping positions. And Bevo, he's going to join the fray here. And he might be able to get a move done on 1 or 2. He's going to make a dive down the inside, I think. And Bevo, he's got not just one. Oh, he only does just get one. There's a 4-way battle behind them. I'm not sure if those are back markers, though, that are sitting there.
Oh, that might be Bailey and
Kev the Gardner and Salty.
It is. It's Kev the Gardner and Salty. So, Bevo, you'd expect serious pace from him. P5 must be on the chopping block here. He's got the soft tyres on, and yeah, we saw him gaining 2 positions there and then losing them both. Just not quite able to make it stick, but he's gone through up again on Wolf, and he's going to have a bit of a better crack at Xander this time than a bold lunge up the inside of 2 people at the same time, and maybe even well Wubsy on his radar. But you got to think that those softs are just, he's got 5 laps on him, and then they're going to be slow again, so he really needs to get his damage done now. And we're seeing he's very quick. Look at that gap. He's already closed up on Xander, down pretty much 1 straight right on the back of him, and I can't imagine Xander's going to be able to defend down this out of these next couple of corners.
Yeah, well, Bevo is on the soft tyre. Those are going to probably overheat very quickly unless he's specifically brought a setup for this final stint. But the DRS wide open, ERS active, but it's not enough to get Xander on this straight. He'll stay behind. 2/10 separating between the first corner. He's got the better exit, a tighter line, but he's got the speed. He's going to go down the inside into turn 3, and he's not just half a car in front right now, and he's a full car in front on the exit. And Xander is going to think better than to fight that right now. That
difference in grip really making itself known there, and Xander probably thinking that if he can just stay in the slipstream for a couple of laps, he'll get a chance when his tyres start to overheat and fall off. So Xander not out of this, but Bevo just absolutely zooming away. Xander's going to have trouble to stay within 2 or 3 seconds of him to make his tyres count when they come back to him.
Yeah, well, Wolf, as we saw his tires, he's dropped off a little bit right now. He's too far behind Xander, just over a second to really catch back up. But Bevo, Xander, he's dropped out of DRS now, so it's Bevo who's going to be on a charge to push, while Xander and Wolf tries to catch up to Xander, who's in P6 right now, for a final lap duel.
Yeah, it's shaping right up, and I'm watching Valhalla and Nameless guys as well. Valhalla all over the back of Nameless, getting through, and he's also on those soft tyres. So starting to see a few more guys cracking out the softs as the race goes on. A lot of them maybe just because they've run out of fresh tyres to put on, but certainly seeing the alternate strategy coming out. And yeah, Bevo, great example of that. He's really made it work, hasn't he? I'm not sure where he started, but he's up a few spots. He's making the most of things.
Yeah, definitely making some spots up there. But just again, Wolf, he's a bit far away from Xander. And Valhalla, Hawk Trio is, Valhalla is, Hawk Trio, wait.
Hawk Trio is all over the back of old mate James.
Oh, I've gotten very confused here. Sorry, Nameless guy is all over the back of Valhalla. And Hawk Trio is going to be fighting old mate James for the lowly 1 point P10 for the final point that is going to be given in this race right now.
And you could say that's the most important point of them all, because it's always nice to get points. And it's very frustrating to be just outside of them.
Yeah, but I mean...
This will be furious. Oh, actually, I've just noticed though that Hawk Trio does have 12 seconds of penalties, so he's probably not a massive threat to old mate James. Old mate probably happy to let him go.
And as one of my favourite esports drivers once said, Jake Benham, can you really say you're having fun if you're not having fun? Or as he sometimes says, at least I'm having fun when he has a bad race. So hopefully that's what some of these drivers are doing. They're just trying to have a little bit of fun out here. That's the aim of the game. It's not to win. It's not to win the championship. It's to have fun.
Yeah, I hope our bottom 5 drivers tonight can say that, because they've had a bit of a miserable time. But
Tadachi could say that he had fun.
Yeah, Tadachi, I'm sure, had less fun than anyone has ever had in the history of not having fun, because he didn't even make it to turn 1 before he exited stage right. Kevin Gardner getting a penalty for ignoring a blue flag, so not liking being overlapped, but it looks like his base baby here, is it?
Certainly looks like it.
Oh no, that's Wolf even. Wolf on the back of Kevin Gardner. Kevin Gardner not getting out of the way, and yeah, we'll see if Wolf's got the pace to get it done on track instead.
Well, Xander's lost a bit of time there to Bevo, but Wolf here, 7/10 between. Never mind, it just went back up to 1.3 seconds out of the corner exit, so that's always nice to see as they come down the main straight. Bevo, remember how you were talking about how Bevo might be fighting for P4?
He is not far off, is he?
Yeah, well, look at that. Bevo actually gaining 7 seconds and is right on the tail of that Aston Martin. And remember what I said at the start of this race? I'm looking at those McLarens and I really wanted to see them up there today. And this is what they're doing. At least one of them is. But Bevo, 4/10s, he's really closed out. Those softs are doing amazing. The grip is just there. You can put the throttle in and you can just fly through these corners.
Yeah, and clearly the right choice if you're going to go the softs to put them on at the end, not the start of the race, because on that lesser fuel load they've lasted a lot longer than we saw the guys at the start with softs. And Bevo right now able to put huge amount of pressure on the back of Wubsy, and he's just got to make sure to keep calm and not get too excited, because his tires will be starting to go off. We've seen the huge grip advantage he's got. He does have time to get this done. He's just got to play it safe. And is this going to be the moment? Looks to the outside. It's a long way around and goes very wide. Gets a bit of gravel on his tires. This isn't the opportunity he wanted. Wubsy keeps his nose ahead for now, and Bevo is going to have another crack, maybe down the home straight. But we've seen Wubsy very, very hard to overtake down the home straight. Seems to have a fairly low downforce setup, and Bevo might have to find somewhere else to do it. As Wubsy swerving a little there, maybe a snap of oversteer, a little puff of dust flicking up, giving Bevo a run on him.
Yeah, but remember, Bevo went off at that same corner that Joe did, so it's obviously not ideal to go side by side. Speaking of the
Hawk
McLaren
trio.
Hawk trio, he's had a really big problem on the apex
Not
shoot.
the
He's going to
place you
come
wanna
through
be.
the corner. Ooh,
Oh.
that is very scary right there.
And yeah, full
Oh,
props to
no.
Hawk Trio for realizing the situation and just getting himself off the racing line as
Sorry
priority.
to interrupt, but speaking of that, Bevo, we missed the overtake
Oh,
between
no.
Bevo and Wow Wubsy. Bevo went through during from turn 4 and 5, and side by side, and he was just able to get through. He's got his nose ahead, and he's got a 5/10 gap already as they come down to turn 9 and 10, the fast left-right chicane.
Hawk Trio just playing distraction for his teammate, getting all eyes on him while Bevo sneaks through. And I'm sad to have missed that one. That was shaping up to be a great fight. But still, Wubsy, we've seen him be quick in a straight line. He's right in the back, and Panache goes out of the race. And we might get a few of them as old mate James goes past here. And not really sure. Oh, he's clipped that curb. And that is one dead car. I think it's too late in the race to have a safety car. So that's very unfortunate for Panache. Looked like double points are on for the Mercedes there. And he's out, and that's exactly what Bevo has to worry about, because those soft tyres, same age, Bevo just needs to make sure that now that they're getting a bit slippier, he doesn't get caught out by the sudden degradation.
Yeah, well, I think right now I'm going to focus my mind on the Ferrari and... Is that an Alpine? I'm colorblind.
That is an
the
Alpine.
Ferrari and the Alpine. So the fight for, what is it, P6. Is it P6? Yes,
Yep.
it is. 7/10 separating the two and 1 lap difference on the tyres, although Wolf does have a time penalty, so I don't know if there's really a reason to fight there. It just seems... I mean, why not?
He
Might
might
get that
be
penalty
thinking about
removed.
disputing it, yeah.
Yeah,
you
after
never
the
know where it
race.
came from, yeah.
Wubsy, he's now 1 second away from Bevo, so that's a bit unfortunate. Bevo's tyres still hanging in there and still got a lot of grip, as we can see. That time delta just go up and up through the corners, the devastating corners on this track.
Yeah, it's we've seen some real fatalities, haven't we? 4 drivers going out tonight, and a hell of a lot of front wing damage over the course of the evening. And the consequences are kind of all over the track. Look at this, it's just everyone very spread out, but Wolf still so hungry for that overtake. He does not want to let Xander beat him on track. Whether or not he gets that penalty removed, Wolf does not want to be beaten on track.
He looked for it certainly, but thought better as everybody who goes side by side through this corner, it does not go well. But what is it, 4/10 right now into turn 13, I think this is, all around that hairpin, and we've got a spinner in the final corner.
It's
Hawk
Bevo.
Trio. Oh no, it is Bevo.
It's Bevo, and just barely gets out of the way as looks like, is that Wubsy and Xander fly through? Oh, and Wolf. Oh, Bevo, it's exactly what we're talking about. Those soft tyres, about lap 6 to 8, they start to get hot, they spin. You just gotta just stay calm, just nurse them to the end, and it's the final lap. Bevo will be absolutely devastated with that.
Remember that McLaren master plan that someone was talking about in chat? Bevo spinning, and then Hawk Trio running into the back of him. So the two teammates there, I don't know, they might have something to talk about. But
You feel
focusing
for
right
him.
now, Wolf and Xander. Xander into P5, Wolf P6. I think it's all or nothing right now. The radio message has gone through, and Wolf is going to be abusing absolutely everything he can in this car to get the maximum prancing horses down these straights.
Yeah, and he's looking like he's
going
going
to
to
look
run
for it on
outside.
the outside. Turn 9 and 10 into the corner. He's
the
got the
very
move
long way.
side by side. He'll cut him off, and the switchback possibly from Xander. No, there is none. But the DRS from Xander will pull him along all the way back down. A big defense there. He's not going to think about it. Mounting the curb, he's got a better run on the exit there. They're going to be side by side through turn 11. Backing out goes Xander. Wolf into P5, keeping the position into the final penultimate corner. And Wolf actually keeping it. And as long as he keeps it nice and steady, he will take P5 on track at least.
It's a long way
And
to the
very
line.
close between them.
He's made it.
Oh, that felt like 10 years to the line right there. But
A
you
little
know,
tense, wasn't it?
Xander keeping it with penalties, but Wolf definitely keeping it on track there. What a great race. As speaking of which, did we acknowledge that Shanuti actually won the race here?
I did keep the camera on as we crossed the line. Oh, and there's Williams round. That looks like I did. Salty on. I thought when he's having a bit of a nightmare on Salty. Nearly kills James on the home straight, reverses into a wall, and Salty finishing off the race precisely as he started the race, spinning on his way to the grid, holding everyone up,
And-
generally causing a kerfuffle.
And spinning on his way to the checkered flag. Let's see. So Shanuti was the underdog of today. I don't think anybody could have expected him to take a 20-second gap right there to Joe, and then Bass Baby following 10 seconds behind Joe with Wow Wow Wubsy into P4. As we were saying at the start of this, both Aston Martin drivers were really putting in their weight, but I don't think Kev really pulled as much this week.
No, that's absolutely one to forget for Kev the Gardner, isn't it? Bit of a disappointment for the Battleless Prince tonight, but yeah, as you said, Shanuti, absolutely unexpected. I would not have predicted that finish. I mean, I guess Bass Baby and Joe on the podium, you know, they're basically podium-seeking missiles, but like Shanuti to win that didn't pick that at all, and yeah, I mean, you feel for guys like Tadachi. I feel like Tadachi, you know, had a good shot at getting mixed up in tonight's race and didn't ever really get a chance, but I'm sure we'll see the replays come out in FIA through the week, and we'll get to point the finger and blame the right person, and you know, generally be miserable about it. So that's something to look forward to. And yeah, sorry.
One person who I was looking forward to was Valhalla, but he just seemed like a lot of bad things happened. From what I could, so he just did not have a very fun race there.
Yeah, just never really get anywhere underway, did he? So your final standings for tonight, if you haven't been paying attention, if you just like the sound of our voices, P1 Shanuti taking out a pretty dominant performance from pole position, 20 seconds ahead of Joe in P2, Bass Baby in P3, Wow Wow Wubsy in P4, Xander in P5, Wolf 6, Bevo disappointed with P7 after a late spin from P4, Bailey, awesome performance from him, up from I think P19 to P8, old mate James in P9, Nameless Guy in P10. And yeah, as usual, the bottom 10 don't get a shout out except for Valhalla, as you mentioned, doesn't get a point for it, but did get fastest lap in P12 there. We were 1:19.85, nearly a qualifying time there for Valhalla, so you know, not all doom and gloom for him. Something to write home about, maybe tell his mum.
Yeah, well, I think we definitely got a couple of people to interview today. I reckon we've got Shanuti, Joe, and Bass Baby that we might have to get a hold of in the F1 paddock to have a little bit of a chat to them. Race director, Nordal, before we end up going back to the main
My
venue.
God, I might have left this a bit late. Sorry, Mr.
He
Watson.
cannot get the race director.
Crap.
Oh, yes, he can.
It's going to take some adept pausing to catch these. Damn it. I think I got to the bottom one
All
there.
you need is the incident.
So yeah, hopefully we caught all those right there. Thanks for the reminder, Mr. Wubsy. And yeah, if you'll give us just a couple of moments, I'm going to go and get myself a drink, calm down a little bit, and we'll be back with some interviews. Stay posted. Hello and welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us through that intermission. We are in the box, joined by your ongoing championship leader, Josh. How was tonight's race, mate?
A bit painful. Was never really comfortable, to be honest with you. Studi definitely was, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think the pace was there for me.
Yeah, it looked like in quali you could stick it to him, but even off the line we saw, I think Wubsy jumped you immediately, and after that just sort of never really able to fight back.
I think Wubsy had a how do you say it? Like a bone out for defending, that's for sure.
He did, didn't he?
Like tomorrow. I don't know how he does it, but yeah, he's something else with defending.
He's a hard man to pass. Well, yeah, you did. So you did more than enough to defend your position and even extend your lead slightly over Bass Baby. So that's all good anyway. Are you feeling confident going into? You're feeling confident for the championship. Are you enjoying the fight?
Yeah, with Bass is something else. He seems to be keeping up and beating sometimes, so that's going to be fun. Should be a good one to the end, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Yeah.
I've got a question for you. So next week we've obviously got Belgium. Now, after this race, what are your thoughts on how do you think Belgium's going to go for you?
I'm going to curse myself here, but Belgium is one of my better tracks, and so I do feel confident going in there to get in this podium at least.
And if it rains?
Oh, woo. Being an academy driver last season, we didn't have much of that, so I don't think I've had a rain race to get.
Ooh, well, that could be spicy. We'll be keeping our eyes on that one.
Yeah, I'll feel sorry for turn one, that's for sure.
Very much. Well, thanks for your performance tonight. It was a pleasure watching it as always, and good luck at Spa.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. I believe we had Bass Baby also lined up for an interview. Is that right? Did I hear that?
Base Baby is not available.
Bass Baby is not available. Did we have
From what I can
anyone
see.
else lined up for an interview? Anyone more to mock or tease, or are we gonna call it that? We saw a pretty fascinating, well, first 10 laps at least. So I'm pretty tired. I'm happy to call it. Is there any fan requests in the chat? Anyone we want to hear from? Flukesy saying Xander and Bailey.
And Bailey.
Yeah, we can bring in the Alpines.
Right then,
Bit of a team interview if I can find them.
they're in the Alpine.
That would make
chat.
sense. I can see Xander's streaming, so hopefully he's got a heads up for this from his race engineer there. I'm gonna pull him in. And hello, Xander.
Hello.
How you doing, mate? You made up some good ground tonight.
I'm stoked, to be fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to stream. I was all over the place. No, it's good, man. It was good to finally get some good points, and Bailey as well.
Yeah,
finishing
driver of
up
the
first
day.
point. Yeah, the goat, I reckon. I reckon the goat.
Come on.
How did that feel, Bailey? That was a good drive. Made your way through the field.
First point of the season is great. Yeah, I was a bit slow, a bit inconsistent at the start of the season, but it's good to get those first points, and hopefully now I can bring some more home for the team because I've been a bit lacking so far. I can't really lie.
And
right now Alpine last in the constructors. After this, are you guys feeling more confident? Do you reckon you can actually get a couple more points?
Definitely think so. With Spa coming up, I do enjoy a bit of Spa, so I'm hoping to kind of keep up. I'm saying it for Bailey as well. I don't think we're quick enough to win races, but I think we're good enough to get top 10 every week consistently. So I definitely think there's some good points and a bit of a climb in the future for the rest of the season.
Righty then.
awesome.
You hear it.
Yeah, we'll be expecting to see you off the bottom spot then. We don't want to see you hogging all the wind tunnel time. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll blame it on your race engine for now, and we'll assume things will get better from here.
Yeah, Flukesy clutched up today, not going to lie.
Ah, yeah. That doesn't sound like Flukesy, but I'll take your word for it. Big shout out to Flukesy. Thanks for your good work tonight, mate. And, right, well, I think we might draw to the close there. Thanks very much, Alpine team. It's a pleasure to see you in action and making your way through the ranks. And we look forward to seeing you at Spa.
Thanks for the cast, lads. Have a good one.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah, great race today for both of you. Very good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think from us here at ARL, that is going to be it for this evening. Quick reminder to everybody sitting there in chat, having a bit of a watch. If you enjoyed the stream, please do chuck us a sub. We are doing a giveaway throughout the month of August. 3 $50 Steam vouchers for 3 lucky winners. All you need to do is be in our Discord and sub to the stream to have a chance at winning. Yeah, we'll be announcing winners on the first day of September on a Thursday night elite race. So stay posted to find out if you are a lucky winner. Until then, we'll be back tomorrow night with our Prodigy race from 8 PM. We hope to see you then. That is all from me. Anything you'd like to tell the people, Deku?
Apart from, tune in to the Belgium Grand Prix next week. We might have some great battles along with the old Belgium track.
We'll look forward to seeing you there. Thanks very much, Rex. Bye.